Hey guys, Charles from Thoghts Boots here, and today I'm giving you a complete guide to the new Adidas X Crazyfast. I've tested all three models, the laced, the laceless, and the new plus version, and I wanted to condense all that down into one video to help you decide what pair you should go with. So I've now tested all three pairs of the new Adidas X Crazyfast, and I have videos on them individually on the YouTube channel. So if you want a more in-depth review on either one of these and not a comparison video, please feel free to check that out down below. And this video should just give you kind of an idea on how these all stack up against each other. And maybe it'll give you a better idea on which pair you should purchase or which pair you were thinking of purchase, and maybe I changed your mind on it or whatever it may be, but this video should cover all the bases. The first thing I want to do is hit on the price point for these boots. Now, $260 is the starting price for the Crazyfast Point 1 that is laced. And I believe it was $250 or even $230 for the Speed Portal and Speed Flow. I could be wrong. I always get these numbers mixed up, but it just kind of seems like a steep price to start with a speed boot, especially the laced version. It is the elite model, but you know, we're used to seeing $225 to $250. Now they've hiked it up $10. That kind of stinks. For the Crazyfast Point 1 laceless, they've raised the price by $10 at $270. So a boot that has less things, takes less to manufacture. There's no holes being punched. There's no laces being added. You're paying $10 extra, which I don't understand. It's kind of an obscure price, and it kind of just, keep it the same. It's the same boot. Some people are gonna want lace, some people are gonna want laceless. Now that you've added a third elite model to a silo, two can be the same price and people are still either gonna want laces or no laces. So what are we doing with that? And then we have the plus model. Now the plus model retails at $300, which is kind of steep. And for a boot that is super lightweight, that is not going to be as durable as the laced or laceless. I hate paying more money for these extra light speed boots. I really do. They don't last nearly as long. You're often buying more. Maybe I just have bad luck with boots. I really think I do, or my feet are just so wide they just tear them apart. But $300, again, kind of a steep price for a speed boot. It is like the plus model now, and we saw the plus models being $250 to $275. So we've seen a $25 increase for a boot that's no longer laceless, but is ultra lightweight. You know, it does come with the string bag and it does come with an extra set of laces, but $300 again is not something I would really want to pay for a pair of football boots. I wanted to start with the sole plate first. Now these three pairs all have the same exact sole plate, just the coloring is different. These colors have been flip-flopped for the plus model in the same launch colorway. And I really do like the speed frame sole plate. I've talked about it a ton. I've worn it probably 5 or 6 times now on five or six different pairs of boots. And it's a very solid sole plate. It doesn't have that Carbitex anymore. They cut that out, I think 2/3 of the way through the Speed Portals. I still don't know why they did that. I still don't think Carbitex was that big a deal. The snapback is still all the same with these sole plates, or maybe slightly different. You'll never know. This sole plate is good for grass. It's good for turf. It's not super aggressive. It's fairly conical, not quite conical, but again, it's not aggressive. I've never had any problems with this sole plate on any surface. I have not worn the SG version of this sole plate. I don't even know if it's actually the speed frame sole plate that's SG, but I imagine it's, you know, gonna be fine for wet grass, and I have no issues whatsoever. So maybe you're someone who doesn't want to buy 2 pairs of boots for grass and for turf. You know, getting a pair of boots with the speed frame sole plate might be the way to go. Moving on to the upper, the Point 1 version, both the laced and the laceless, have the Aeropacity upper, and it almost feels sandpapery. I didn't really feel like it gripped the ball like a Rubber Element or Grip Knit does on the Nike boots, but it's still fairly solid. And I believe, although I don't know if it's been confirmed, if I haven't confirmed it myself, but you can see the 2 different tones in color and the 2 different material. It's shinier right here than it is right there. I want to say that's a reinforcement layer for turf. I could be wrong because this is a pretty thin upper. The touch on the ball is definitely okay, and I feel like you get a better touch on the ball with laceless boots than you do on the laced boots. However, it's not something that's gonna be a game changer. It also just kind of comes down to preference and comfortability. Personally, for me, I feel like I usually go with laceless boots. I would rather have a little bit more lockdown than touch on the ball. But nonetheless, this boot is exactly the same. This is a bigger size. This is gonna be sold on our website at some point. I wanted to have brand new pairs for all of these. So if you can see, the silhouettes are exactly the same. I'll hold this one back further. And you can just tell it's the exact same material, you know, insole, padding, sole plate, everything is the same, just it doesn't have holes for the laces. And even where they would punch the holes out, it's still exactly the same. So there's no eyelets or anything like that. So it's just a weird pair of boots that they've done a laceless model on. And a lot of players have taken laces out of their boots before, whether it's Vapors with one-piece uppers or X's that came with laces. But so for the Plus model, it has the same kind of upper. It's called the Aeropacity Speed Skin, but it's got a plus on the end, so it's slightly different material. If I grab this pair here, that extra like protection I was saying this could be, this different coloring right there, doesn't exist on this. There's no glare, there's no different colors. Now, why is that? Because this material is lighter. They needed a lighter material, and I think you can kind of see through it. I don't know how well the light will pick it up or whatever, but it's definitely thinner, it's definitely lighter. The whole point of the Plus model is super light. It's the new thing they're doing. This is the new third silo. We used to only get the 0.1 and the Plus. Now the 0.1 and the old Plus is now 0.1 in LL, if that makes any sense, which again, I don't know why they did that. They could have just called this the lightweight version, but to each their own. And this is definitely my favorite model. I didn't wear this. I wore the Crazy Light Plus, but it's the same exact boot, just colored differently. I liked it a lot. The touch felt better overall than the upper of the 0.1 and the 0.1 LL in terms of the material here. And this tongue is basically non-existent. It's literally just like a piece of felt. I don't know if you can see, you can just twist it up. It's very malleable. It really is just there to be a tongue and keep the laces directly off your foot, but the touch is basically barefoot. It's very, very nice. And I like this upper a lot. It still has that sandpapery feel, but you know, overall it's my favorite. It's definitely not gonna be as durable, and it's definitely not going to feel as good if you get your foot stepped on, but the regular Aeropacity Speed Skin isn't really gonna help you either if you get stepped on. So, you know, maybe I like this more because it's my favorite and it's a bias, so I like this upper better, and I like the Plus upper better, but I would have to say the Plus upper is better overall. With lockdown, if we compare the laceless and the laced version, the laced version is definitely on top. That's what I said earlier. If you have laces, you're gonna have better lockdown than without laces. I don't care what tech they say they have, nothing's gonna lock it to your foot like laces unless they use some sort of fly wire cable system, which is very, very rare. And I've always told people when you go with laceless, you're gaining comfort, but you're losing lockdown. And I would say the lockdown, if you could put a percentage on it, would probably be 15 to 20% less than the laced version. And there was a couple times when I was testing the laceless version where I was hitting volleys, and when I would come across a ball really hard and I would catch it on the side of my foot here, I could feel the boot kind of rotate a little bit. And when you do that with the laced version, you don't have the same results. So if you're going for lockdown based on these two, the laced comes out on top. But what takes the cake is the Plus model. And the reason for this is it has an actual tongue. When you have an actual tongue, there's separation in the upper, and I don't know what these, I guess the sides of the boot right here, if you were to take out the laces, these can really be brought together and kind of wrap your foot when you have a tongue versus when you don't and have a one-piece upper. There's only so much lockdown you can really get, especially with the tongue this thin. It lets them really lock in tight, and no issues whatsoever with these. And I didn't really have any issues with the 0.1 either, but this is just a little bit extra lockdown. But also keep in mind that that extra lockdown is going to be stressing on the very thin upper of the boot where it kind of comes together with the sole plate. So it's going to kind of factor into durability a little bit when you do have that much of a lockdown on a boot that's this thin and lightweight, if that makes sense. And while we've already talked about durability, I didn't really wear these boots enough to get the best personal idea on how well these boots last. I did show you the photo earlier of Noah's pair that ripped pretty quickly. I haven't had any ripping issues yet. I've had the normal kind of wear at the toe where the paint's coming off a little bit. Now, I only wear boots for probably 8 to 10 hours when I'm testing them, just to get through as many pairs a week as I can and try to get out as many reviews as possible. However, the 0.1 laceless and laced showed really good signs of durability, and I actually have the pair I wore solely on turf for the 0.1 right here, and there's no, I don't know if it'll focus. Sorry, it took me a second to focus it there, but you can see there's no real signs of wear, and those were only worn on turf. And now my Plus model here, that is the white colorway, I wore solely on grass, and you can see there's no real wear either. So to me, that seems like the 0.1 and the laceless definitely take the cake. They're definitely going to be more durable. However, it's just, do you like the Plus version more? Are you willing to pay that extra 30 bucks more than the laceless, or the $40 extra for the laced? Now, if we want to talk about sizing and comfort, I went with my normal size that I wear in Adidas and Nike, which is a 9. And sometimes in Adidas, I float between an 8.5 and a 9. But for these, I all wore size 9. Even the laceless version, where a lot of people will tell you go down half a size, I've always had an issue going down half a size, and I think it's just because I have wide feet where I can never do that, but I also didn't feel like there was really any extra room in the toe. And the laceless version actually really grew on me. I didn't really like it at first, but I ended up liking it a lot. So whatever you normally get, and I guess I would say if you don't really wear Adidas, if you ever wear, whatever you wear in Vapors, Tiempos, Superflies, GXs, get the same size in Adidas boots. And if you wear your Adidas boots, whatever size you normally wear, they'll all translate just the same. And if we compare the laceless and laced in comfortability, the laceless is definitely better. It's not a crazy amount better. I would say maybe 20% better, but 20% could make a difference for some of you. And it's not that the laceless, or the laced rather, is bad, but you know, again, just getting rid of those laces provides a little bit of extra comfort to me. Now, it could be different for you. You could prefer the latter. Maybe, you know, having laces in the better lockdown is more comfortable. You know, again, it's all just my opinion, but I definitely will say the Plus was my favorite. It was the most comfortable. I had no break-in time whatsoever. It was great to just slip them on and play. So take that for what you will, but this has definitely been my favorite. And that's all I have for you guys in terms of comparing them. Now, my final suggestion would be if you are wearing the 0.1 or the laceless, maybe just shell out the extra 40 or 30 bucks it's gonna cost and try this boot. Now, again, maybe this will rip quick, so maybe you won't want to do that, but I definitely found this was the best boot in my opinion in terms of performance, comfortability, you know, lockdown, everything. And that's not taking away from these boots, and it's not saying these are bad at all. I would just say this is, you know, maybe 10 to 15% better than either of these boots, which to me is a game changer, sorry. And this also just feels like the F50. That's another thing, is it just reminds me of the older F50s, and that used to be my favorite boot for the longest time before I started wearing the 11 Pros religiously. And you know, it's just so hard to find that feeling again in modern boots. So that's one thing this also just brings. Now, if you're not willing to spend 260 to 300 bucks on a pair of elite boots, but you do want elite boots, we have them on our website. Now, these 3 pairs are actually gonna be dropped, I wanna say next week at some point. And we're actually gonna have a ton of the Plus versions and then a couple of these 0.1s coming in and out all the time. So make sure to check out our website. And if you like videos like this or you liked our reviews, please make sure to check them out on our channel. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.